Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Network 216 proudly presents Brian, the red shirt freshman Phillows, Jason, still ain't got a freaking nickname, last name, nada. We are the Rust Belt. Holy cow, the internet is just lagging like crazy right now. Well, guess you can't download too many things. Can you hear me, Jason?
I can hear you, Brian. I got you.
Jason, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, beautiful. All right. Technical difficulties to start the show. I don't know what happened. So went live. My computer's like glitched. Yeah. We're good. Keep it pumping. Holy cow.
Are you
what
okay
a good
over
start
there?
to the show. Did you get to hear any of my beautiful intro?
You there, Brian?
Take the show. I'll be right back. Yeah.
Yeah, you there? Well, while Brian figures this out, I think we're excited to talk today because there's been some interesting sports news in Cleveland, which obviously is one of our markets that we cover extensively here. So we're excited to dive into the Myles Garrett trade, along with the AJ Brown trade, and kind of how it shakes up the NFL landscape. So when Brian gets back, hopefully he's going to get back here soon. There he is. We're going to talk a lot of Browns football. Brian, never leave me like that again.
Oh, my God. Did you get any of the intro, or was it just broken?
No, I mean, it was broken, but I got the gist of what you were trying to go for.
Damn it. Oh, that was such a good one. I felt so good about that. Oh, well.
Do you want to have another shot at it? Do you want to start it over again?
Yeah. Oh, I just hit the reset button. Ladies and gentlemen, live, Network 216 presents Brian has a nickname. It's a redshirt freshman. Jason doesn't. He's a POS. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rust Belt Rivalry podcast. Holy cow. We got a lot to discuss.
Also known as Two Stupid People Talking Sports. So,
yeah. With
that, don't forget that.
I forgot to tell you, there was even more comments that came that were even better. They're just like, you guys are idiots. You don't know what you're talking about. When Jason says that Jalen Hurts is not going to be an Eagle, it just pissed off every Eagles fan that ever existed, and it was great. So
I'm also known, I think I should be known as the Philly fanatic going forward. I think that's where we should.
Yeah, there you go. Jason, the Philly fanatic. I love it. Well, I think you already informed the people while I was having technical difficulties that we're going to be talking a lot of Myles Garrett trade. Shockingly enough, there's nobody else talking about it, so we might as well. I mean, geez, Pete.
Right.
I mean, you're an outsider. I mean, would you like to start before I get all emotional and start spilling my guts, or ask any questions, or what do you have? What do you want to say about the trade? You're a little more, less emotional about it.
I'll give you my non-emotional take. And I think, it was funny because we weren't going to do a podcast. We didn't have anything scheduled. And then this trade happens. And I texted Brian. I'm like, I think we should probably try to do something here. And I suggested we actually hosted a therapy session for Cleveland fans. Brian loved the idea, but we didn't know how we would do it. So Brian's going to have a therapy session, a live therapy session here on live internet for everyone to see. But as an outsider, and this is coming from, a month or 2 or 3 months ago when I was on the mock draft show with you guys, we started talking about like this idea of Myles Garrett being traded. And at the time it was insane to talk about. I mean, we were talking about it. I think we were all laughing about it. And there was not a lot of serious thought put into it. But I made the comment, about the Micah Parsons trade, and we talked about it and compared the two. And, at first, I think I was feeling a lot like you guys are probably today or yesterday, and it sucked. And you kind of feel like, what now? But I really like the trade. I don't think Myles Garrett, and I think, and you look at the Vegas stuff, which we'll get into here later too, but Vegas doesn't think it really affects them that greatly either this season. So, I think you can't get away from saying that he's a generational player, because he really is. He's a great player. He is in an elite position. in a marketed position. So it's tough. Today and yesterday and the next couple of weeks will be tough to get over it. But I think it's the right move for the Browns franchise. And it truly shows me that they are committed to building this thing properly. And you don't build an NFL franchise with one elite player unless that player is a quarterback. So that's how I view it. I'm very positive of the trade. Could Andrew Berry have gotten more? I'm sure he could have gotten more, but I think Jared Verse is a really good piece to get back. So that's my outsider, non-emotional opinion about all of this. I'm here for you, man. I just want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear you fly.
All right. Well, first of all, we've got comments coming in. Big fan of the podcast. Can I get a birthday shout out? PK, no. Happy birthday. We give birthday shout outs here, Jason. We don't deny the fans their due. Happy birthday. Not as good of a birthday as June 1st, but any Browns fans that want to jump in the comments, if you want to get your therapy session in here, feel free. We will read the comments and reply. This is kind of an open forum. If you live under a rock or you maybe haven't heard about the trade details, I'm going to put them up here on the screen for you for a little bit here. So for those that don't know, Myles Garrett, the best non-quarterback in the NFL, was traded from the Browns to the Los Angeles Rams for Jared Verse, who is a sensational third-year linebacker, edge rusher, whatever you want to call him, put him in the category. He's a little bit older for a rookie, but still on a rookie deal. They also got a first-round draft pick in 2027, which everybody acts like that's worth like 18 first-round picks. I wish I was exaggerating. A second-round pick in 2028, and then a third-round conditional pick in 2029. Not sure exactly on the language, but I believe the reason it's a conditional pick is there's something in there about if the Rams trade Myles Garrett, let's say, Stafford retires next year after he wins the Super Bowl or something, and then they stink in 28 and they decide to trade Myles Garrett. If they trade him within the AFC North division, that third rounder actually turns into a first rounder, I believe is what I understand, which is really smart by Andrew Berry to put that little language in there. Now, on the surface, this seems there's so many layers to this, right? It's like you've got emotions, you've got a fan base who has been striving and struggling for 26 years. We have had a stadium built in 1999 that has not hosted a home playoff game in that entire time, 27 years. You're always like, it's a joke. It's like, there's always next year. And now you're kind of already saying that without, like, the season hasn't even started. So I Browns fans are besides themselves, right? And we find ourselves in this situation time and time again, right? It's like we traded Baker and all of a sudden he's amazing. Like, he hit a rocky patch, whatever. Like we see the Steelers and like Cam Hayward and they keep their best players, right? We see the Ravens and like, I want to say like Ed Reed almost his entire career. People like Ray Lewis, they keep their best players their entire careers, right? We want that too, right? We want to be good, but the timeline does not add up for Myles Garrett, right? When you think about it holistically, you have to factor in the fact that he is old in the NFL, right? He is old for an edge rusher. He is going to be 31 this year. And let's be realistic. Like, he hasn't wanted to be here since the Deshaun Watson trade flamed out, right? Yep. He was upset that Jim Schwartz didn't get a job as a head coach. He openly went public backing Jim Schwartz, and the Browns didn't pick Jim Schwartz as their head coach. And at first I was freaked out about this because I was like, I didn't know much about Jared Verse, to be honest with you. I don't watch a lot of Rams. I was like, man, one first rounder for Myles Garrett, who's like the best non-quarterback football player out there right now. But as I had some time to digest and realize, I'm like, okay, so again, versus on a rookie contract. He's going into his third year. He's got all these accolades, defensive rookie of the year. He's already been, I think, a 2-time Pro Bowler. And
Well,
like those accolades are pretty high for 2 years into the league. He's 5 years younger than Myles Garrett, again, on a rookie contract, so he's not making much. And the timeline just adds up, right? So it's like Myles Garrett, let's say the Browns get really good in 2, 3, 4 years. Is Myles Garrett still going to be out there producing at a high level at age 35? Probably not. Like maybe he's decent. I don't know. But like you're also paying him all that money. So the compensation was a little light. I freaked out at first. Probably every Browns fan anywhere was just like, what the heck? Uh, but here we are. You said it. I think a lot of people have said it nationally, right? It was probably the smart move to make, right? Myles didn't want to be here. He didn't fit the timeline. A lot of people have even brought it up like, look, so there was a game last year against the Patriots where Myles Garrett put on a show. He had 5 sacks against Drake May, and we still lost by 19 points.
yep.
So, like, yes, it sucks, but you also use that to get a much better, hopefully, haul out of it. So we'll throw some. He says thanks, Big Dog Bry. We got a Detroit fan here. Oh boy, we can't talk
Nice.
about basketball yet. Then while we got a Detroit fan on here, how did they have enough cap room for Myles Garrett? I don't think there is such thing as a cap. I don't even think it exists.
It's all fake math. It's all fake
Yeah,
math.
they just push it out later. Child says, "Hope the Rams go 0-17." Man, I hope so too.
If you're willing to place a bet, I will bet you they don't. But I don't. I mean, look, I don't disagree. Like it's the super team. It's the thing you root against.
I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with rooting for them actually, even as a Browns fan. I mean, go ahead, Myles. Like, get your ring. I just like. I feel like the dude has built up so much bad football karma. Like you just you go on Radio Row last year right before the Super Bowl and like just trash your own team with every station. You don't show up. You don't back like the team's choice and coaches. Like I get it, right? Like it wasn't his tenure here hasn't been great, but it's not like they didn't try. They took a big swing on Deshaun Watson. I'm sure Myles had something to say about that before they made that move. And Myles and Baker didn't get along. So like I'm sure Myles had something to do with Baker getting kicked out. I'm sure Myles had something to do with Deshaun getting here. I'm sure he gave the stamp of approval. And when that didn't all work out, he was like, "Oh man, I want out of here." Like, "Oh, so you wanted to help build this
Yeah.
problem, and now that you realize that it didn't work, what you thought was going to work out, now you want out." I'm like, I don't know, man. I just he's always been a selfish player, I would say.
Yeah.
Like he's not ever been a leader. He's not ever been super vocal. I mean, for crying out loud, the man was flipping his car in Medina and ended up missing a game, 2 games in the middle of the season because he was doing his like 95 mile an hour, drive in the middle of the country and wrecked his car. Like,
Yep.
don't know how he made it out of that alive, to be honest. But after seeing like the footage, or not the footage, but the picture, but like he did that. I still think it's ironic that the league never released the video or the sound clips from that helmet game where he smashed Mason Rudolph in the head with a
Forgot
helmet.
about that.
But like he got suspended for that. Like, he's constantly taking plays off. And last year, like you can't talk about it like that sack record without talking about if anybody was watching those final few games, like
Yeah.
all he was doing was going for sacks. Like the Tennessee Titans exposed him because he was just going for a sack, and they're like, "All right, we're just going to let the running back or the tight end leak out right behind Myles." And where there's this big gap because Myles is just going for the quarterback, Cam Ward is just going to dump it off, and there goes another 30-yard play because Myles isn't covering the gap that he's supposed to be. He's just hunting sacks.
Yes.
So, I don't know. I was a big fan. I hate to see good players go, but, I mean, to your point, like, it seems logical. Like, it was just a bad relationship. But I think he's got some bad karma coming to him, man, for all that bad stuff he did and, just worrying about number one and only number one, like, for all this and doing the LeBron, like, social media stuff, like, not and now people are coming out and saying, "Oh, Myles didn't ask to be traded this time around." Like, seriously? Okay,
You ask once.
Yeah, you can ask without asking, by the way, and like he also had a no trade clause, so he had to approve the trade. Like, let's not be naive about this. I don't know. There's just a lot that doesn't sit right with me, and honestly, a couple people have mentioned it this week already. The Browns are doing a culture reset, like a full culture reset, which is what the Broncos did 2 years ago when Peyton got there.
Yep.
And it worked out pretty damn well for them. So I'm not saying like to expect that by any means. Like, it is what it is, but there's just a lot. There's just so much to unpack there. And I've already heard people saying that it's a failure because Jared Verse is like not as good as Myles. They're like already comparing them, and I'm like,
yeah,
nobody is as good as Myles Garrett. Like, there's a reason that they paid a first, a second, a third, and Jared Verse to get Myles, like a 31-year-old Myles Garrett. It's not. You cannot compare the two, and I think one of the biggest problems I'm already predicting is like every Browns fan is going to be like, well, he's not Myles Garrett, like, and the poor guy was almost going to have to wear his number too, which I was like, God, please, God, do not do that to us. Fortunately, that didn't happen, but apparently he's wearing Dylan Gabriel's number, which what does that say about Dylan?
I could say he's probably not the starting quarterback this year.
What? Oh my gosh! I just keep waiting for Kevin Stefanski to come get the man, but he's just leaving him on an island. I guess Kevin doesn't want to pay for him twice.
Future third string lefty in Atlanta. You're looking right at him.
Yeah, I think they're just waiting for us to cut him.
I think you're right. But I think like to your point about his age, and I think this is where like the Myles Garrett and the Micah Parsons trades kind of diverge a little bit. Is like Micah Parsons was 26, 25 when he was traded. 26. So he's that young up and coming player that had a ton of that baggage, the podcast baggage that he had, and the rumors always of him never really being a great teammate. But Myles Garrett, he's that depreciating, and I shouldn't say depreciating. He's that aging asset because he could still have a couple seasons, 3-4 seasons here of 15 plus sacks, which he probably will. He's playing with Byron Young, who's a really good edge rusher also in Los Angeles. So they're going to be a really good defense, up front, and they got McDuffie on the back end. So it's going to be a really good defense all around. But, he's going to still have 3 to 5 more years of probably very good production. But as you said, like, he is 31. So what happens is players that get older, they play less snaps. So if you're going to pay a guy $40 million to play, 25 less snaps a game, every game throughout the next 4 or 5 years, like, what is that giving this Browns team? And I don't think it really gives them what they need. And I think, we've talked about this again, going back to the draft show, is like the Browns need to have like a plan 2029. So like when their stadium opens, they have their cap situation correct to bring free agents in to that situation. You have your draft assets spent correctly, so you get the right players. And really, at this point, you're building around a quarterback, and you just have to find your quarterback, because this is, even without Myles Garrett and Jared Verse in place of him, this is a good team, and only really kind of a quarterback in some of their positions away from being a contender for the AFC North. And that's coming from a non-Browns fan. And I've said it all along. I think they have really good pieces. I just, Yeah, and I don't think in Browns fans, please, I beg you, do not compare Jared Verse to Myles Garrett because they will never be the same player. But what they're hoping for is to spread out the production across the defense that Myles Garrett brought or gave you, and also have some, like you said, culture differences of players that don't take plays off, possibly play their gaps, play the scheme properly, because that's what ultimately wins football games, not 5 sacks on Drake May and losing by 19. So all together, I think you seem very level-headed about it. I'm sure I would have loved to talk to you 2 days ago on here and just let the flames just fly out of you. But I think it's you. I hope more Cleveland fans have your perspective on this, because as a Cowboys fan, I look at it again as like compare the two trades, and Dallas was not nearly in the position that Cleveland is defensively when they made the Micah trade. So I don't think that your defense is going to go from what Dallas's was the year prior, when it was one of the better defenses in the league, to last year's Cowboys defense that couldn't stop a nosebleed. So I don't think that you're taking that step back. You have Schlesinger, you have Denzel Ward, you have some good pieces around it. So I think you guys are still in a good spot. No, let me ask you this: what do you do from here? So you obviously, like, I don't know. Everyone wants to call us a rebuild. I don't really know if I see it that way. I just see it as stacking assets at this point, because there's a lot of other stuff to like with the team. So like, where do you go from here if you're Andrew Berry in the organization?
That is like the question, right? I mean, I think that all depends on Shedeur. I mean, all signs are pointing to Watson starting, but I'm not buying it. Like, especially now, you got to figure out. You basically got this year to figure out. Man, are we going all in? If we even can, to trade up for a quarterback in 2027, or are we not? Right? Like, you got to figure out as much as you can figure out. And we all know, like, they're not re-signing Deshaun, right? Like, that's just. He could win 11 games this year, and I feel like they're still not re-signing him. Like, it does not matter. He could throw for 4,000 yards, and they're still getting rid of him. That's my belief. I could be wrong, but you got to throw Shedeur out there and see what you've got in the kid. You got to see if he can grow, give him the snaps. Like, and I know it's unfortunate. Like, we obviously have a development problem in the NFL with quarterbacks, right? Like, that has become extremely evident over the last few years. With people like Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith, and I could probably go on and on. But I mean, man, you got to give this kid time to see if he can do anything, and if he can't, unfortunately, you got to hit the button and go grab a quarterback. And the good thing is, if he sucks, which I don't think he will, but if he does suck, like, you don't want to win games anyway, because that Rams pick, realistically, is going to be 32. Like, that's where I'm starting. That's the bar. Like, I'm figuring that pick is going to be pick number 32, which, are you trading up pick number 8 and 32 to get 1 or 2? No, like, you got to throw in a lot more than that. So you got to figure out what you got in Shedeur. And I think that's the linchpin to, like, everything, right? I don't think they get rid of Denzel. I think he's a great culture fit. I don't think it's a full strip down like they did in 2016 and 2017, where they want to go like 0-16. I think they realize, like, how badly that hurt the culture and all that stuff. And I don't think they want to do that again. So I think you got to keep people like Denzel around. Now, Denzel wants to be here. Denzel grew up in Nordonia. He went to Ohio State. He's been in Ohio. He's been in Cleveland area almost his whole life. So he's a totally different level than Myles, right? As far as I understand, he comes to every practice. He busts his butt. He does have injury concerns, obviously concussions, but I don't think he's going anywhere. But I think the bottom line is, I don't see them doing a full reset like you mentioned. I think it's more like maybe a soft reset. And, there's a reason that a lot of people nationally have said this. The Browns didn't pull the trigger on this until Jared Verse was part of the conversation. Like, this was going nowhere, apparently, when they were just throwing picks. So, like, the Browns didn't want to do this huge reset. So, I mean, you think about it, my thought is, like, you give Shador the keys to the Cadillac, and if he smashes it up and we end up 3-14 this year, well, then you're in good position to hopefully get Arch Manning or Dante Moore or whoever you really love if you're picking in the top one or two. And if he does well, then you got to think about it. Like, man, do we what do we do? Do we give this kid Jeremiah Smith? Do we, because at the end of the day, right, the quarterback has been the problem here in Cleveland for my entire life, almost. Since 99, we can say confidently, like, we've not had a good quarterback, and he's also not been surrounded by a good team. So it's either been like you got Tim Couch with a bunch of the replacements from that movie with Keanu Reeves, or he's like just getting savagely beat every week, or you've got a decent roster with no quarterback, which is pretty much what we've seen for the last 4 years now. Could a lot of that been on Kevin Stefanski? We're surely going to find out.
Yes, we are.
We are sure going to find out real soon. But the direction of the Browns, again, I think it's either we hope that we have a rookie, a quarterback on a rookie contract that's a 5th-round pick and super cheap, and we see what he's got, or we know we're drafting a quarterback, hopefully high next year, and then we take off from there, right?
You know who may be available next year, Brian, to fill in at quarterback for your Cleveland Browns?
I feel like a joke is coming here. Go ahead.
JJ McCarthy.
Oh.
I think Cleveland would be the last place that kid needs to be. But it would be hilarious from an outsider point of view, and in Ohio.
I'm sure it would be.
Be hilarious.
I could see that happening if Kevin Stefanski was here, but it ain't happening now. There's no way.
Isn't it crazy to think, like, because you're probably sitting there like, if only we had Sam Darnold. Like, and think about saying that 3 or 4 years ago, like, people would think you were insane, but really you are hoping for just, I need Sam Darnold. And like, that would be the perfect quarterback for the situation. Veteran, cheaper deal, not going to command like your mega deals, Mahomes types deals. And I think that's the right kind of guy, but is that type of a person going to exist? I don't think they do.
I mean, they might. I think personally, we lucked out with the Todd Monken hire.
Yeah.
Everybody blasted it. Most Browns fans still don't like it, but just hearing the differences in practice, like I'm comparing Kevin Stefanski to Todd Monken, so maybe it's not completely fair, but like Kevin Stefanski, he would have 2 hours of practice, and he would only practice for an hour and a half, and part of that was warm-ups. Like, Todd Monken is doing the full 2 hours, and it sounds like even maybe a little bit more, which, I'm sure he'll get his hand slapped for, but like, he is taking full advantage of every rep, every time, everything he can. Like, they're practicing hard. Like, everybody with Kevin Stefanski, they called it Camp Cupcake because, like, they weren't aggressive. They weren't, and that is not the case. I don't know if you've seen some of these drills, the videos that they're doing. Like, some of these Browns beat reporters are saying, like, they haven't seen these drills since, like, I think Marty Schottenheimer was our coach.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, like, they're doing these drills where, like, the running back has the ball. He's, like, doing I don't know, like the step drill or whatever over the, not cones, but whatever it is. And the coaches are just taking these like pads and just smacking the ball, like trying to punch it out. And I'm like, dude, so this has been available this whole time, right? Like, obviously they were doing this back in the 80s or 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, we just chose not to do stuff like this because we were smarter than everybody else. We'd rather give them 30 minutes back of their day. Like, these guys make millions of dollars. They can do a couple more reps. Come on.
Yeah.
I So I don't know that, and then just a few other things that I'm just like, man, I just have such a confidence in this coach that was kind of like I was riding all this high momentum, and then like with the Myles Garrett trade, I'm like, okay, well, that's at least 1 or 2 wins right there, which is probably good, but for the long run. But like, man, I was really optimistic about this year. So
You had a guy. You had a guy to watch, like a guy that you could be a fan of. I mean, it's like it's Joe Thomas, but a position that has statistics. Like everyone loved Joe Thomas, but it's a left tackle. It's like, well, now we have Myles Garrett, who makes 4 to 5 flash plays a game. So it's the fan in you that wants that. So it's so you sound optimistic. You sound more optimistic than I thought you would, which is really a bummer because I was really I wanted to like dig in on this a little bit with you. So you're really not giving me my payoff here, which kind of
well,
sucks.
if you want my pessimism side, like I think we went from I was confident in like 8-9 wins, right, going into the season. We've talked about that a couple weeks ago. I think now you're looking at 5-6 wins is probably about what you're going to get.
But does a defensive end really, you think, provide you 3 wins, like
Yes.
singularly,
I,
one and you think Jared versus that different that he's not going to provide some level of that or a
so
scheme? Like I have a hard time believing that a defensive end is worth 3 wins. In Vegas says it's only worth 1.
okay, 1 win, 2 wins. We'll call it 2 wins. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Either way, I mean, we're pulling hair strings here, but like, dude. So apparently McVay came up to Myles at some game and told Myles that he didn't get sleep for 4 nights trying to game plan for him. You heard Matt LaFleur last year when the Packers played the Browns and all those comments about how they didn't even run certain packages until Myles was out because they knew they couldn't get them. This man has been double and triple teamed more than anybody in the league over the last, I don't know, 5 years or whatever. Like, he is just an alien. Like, he is really that good. I mean, and that's another reason why I'm like, please don't put that on Jared Verse. Like,
Yeah.
but when you have that kind of thing happening, like the thing that I'm concerned about, I guess, is this defensive line. So Jared Verse is not going to hog up 2 and 3 players on every play.
Nope.
So all the one-on-ones that Malik Collins was getting in the middle, that Mason Graham was getting up the middle, that Alex Wright or Isaiah McGuire or insert whatever other defensive end here was getting one-on-ones, now they might be getting like 1.5, or they might be getting chipped or what, like. So I think the play of the defensive line is going to significantly drop, which gives me concern. So I think the defense is going to go from like top 5-ish, whatever you want to call them. I know that's an opinion, but like top 5-ish last year to now maybe like middling, like 15 to 20. Now the offense I think is going to come up, but that all depends on, again, the quarterback, which by all record so far, the quarterbacks have been throwing picks on 7-on-7s, which Todd Monken's like, that's totally unacceptable. There's not even any pressure. They haven't looked really good. Like Zach Jackson, who's a beat reporter who tells it like it is like, let's talk about Brandon Sorsby. Like, so
you can dive back into that conversation.
Oh my God, I wore the wrong shirt then. I was going to wear my Emmanuel Class A shirt, hoping that we talked about Sorsby so I could be like, can't do this again. Missed my opportunity. I should have known better. I was hoping we wouldn't bring him up, but go figure I would do that.
But you know who like is the biggest winner in all of this?
Not Jared Verse.
The Cavs. Everybody in Cleveland has forgotten completely about them getting smoked by the Knicks.
Nobody has forgotten.
Dude, they're out of the news cycle. It's out of the news cycle.
They are. Aside from Darius Garland like running his mouth and Lonzo Ball of all people, like they're like running their mouth about how The Cavs would have been better. They would have been better in the playoffs if Darius was still on the team instead of Garland or Hart. Damn, I can't even speak. Harden, and I'm like, what planet are you on? If Garland was still there instead of Harden, we wouldn't have made it past the freaking Raptors.
No,
like,
yeah.
No chance, dude.
He was instrumental in that run for sure.
God. So, but yeah, I mean, we can talk a little bit about Cavs. I mean, obviously this is a football show, but that was embarrassing, completely embarrassing. Once they dribbled down their legs in that first game, had that 22-point lead with 7 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, and then gave an 18-1 run where our coach just like his brain just fell out of his head and he didn't call a timeout and then said, "Oh no, I don't like to use those timeouts." Well, coach, you had 4 timeouts. You lose 2 of them at the 2-minute mark, regardless of whether you use them or not, and you didn't use them. So you didn't save them for anything because you didn't get to use them. But I don't know, that it was just that game pretty much like you knew right then and there like what was going to happen. And honestly, it was like watching a freaking Browns game for me. I was like, okay, here we go. Like they're going to come back. I'm like thinking they're going to tie this game, and then they're going to go into overtime, and they're going to have the momentum, and they're going to win the game. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened, because that's exactly how I watch Browns games. I'm like, oh, like even the Packers game last year, I was like, oh, like I've seen this play out before. Like we're going to lose to a field goal.
Yeah.
Like we're going to lose by 1 point. We're just going to, like, it's going to happen. Like it rarely happens in our favor. So I don't know. It was ugly. It led to a big debate with my other co-hosts and I. So I want to throw a question at you, and I want your opinion. I did not prep you this. Donovan Mitchell, superstar or some other category?
Oh man. So I don't, I'm not a big basketball guy. I know enough to be dangerous. Like I know who Michael Jordan is. I got that guy down. No, he was in like a movie, wasn't he? Like Space Jams
Yeah,
or something.
him and Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. But no, I think he would be whatever the level below that level is. Whatever, I don't know what you said, superstar or whatever. I'd say he would be like all-star plus, whatever your next category would be. I think that's where he probably fits. I think that superstar category in all of sports, across all sports, is like there's like 5 guys in every league. That's it. That's your Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trouts. That's your Myles Garrett's. That's not for everybody. And that's your LeBron James 10 years ago. So I say no. I don't know where you're falling on this, but I hope you're agreeing.
I agree. I completely agree. I've been arguing with my co-host. If you're bored on Friday night, me and my co-host, Jared Fatty Bates, we'll be arguing about this probably for a while because he tells me that he is an all-star and none of this debacle was his fault and the team sucked around him, which the team did suck around him. I'm not going to like sugarcoat it, but also like, I don't know. He's got a lot of things going on. So, but you also wanted to talk about the AJ Brown trade. Because you're such a big Eagles fan.
So I want to table the Eagles talk here for a minute. I want to let some Eagles fans, flock around. I've said, the word Eagles, so hopefully they can all join the show now. But so there's actually another rumored trade that talks or that hits on one of our other teams that we talk about, and that's the Lions. So two pieces of Lions news. So first, they hired longtime former GM of the Dolphins, Chris Greer, to a front office position, which I don't think it brings any value. I think he did a terrible job building rosters down in Miami, so I'm not sure what role he's going to have in Detroit. So I don't know if that's a plus or a positive of any way. But the rumored trade right now, and I don't think a lot of people are saying it's really not a rumored trade, but I'd like to play like it is a rumored trade because I, like to see this happen. But TJ Watt from Pittsburgh traded to Detroit because Detroit has obviously been looking for somebody for Aiden Hutchinson to run with because Hutchinson, much like Garrett gets your doubles and triple teams. A lot of the defense or the offensive formations are shifted to and from him, so he kind of sets the offensive game plan. So putting a stud like TJ Watt on the other side, who's a bona fide star, on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson would make obviously the defense a lot better. And so obviously a lot of people are shutting that down, that they're not even interested in the trade. Pittsburgh is, some Pittsburgh beat writers are saying that they're not going to trade it. But, I did read one to this. You cannot deny, again, the Myles Garrett effect on Pittsburgh, seeing like, okay, we're an older team. We can stack capital. We have a guy on a, $35+ million a year contract who's 30 plus. And they just signed Nick Herbig, their other defensive end, outside linebacker, edge, whatever they call that position in Pittsburgh, to a 4-year, $100 million contract today. And they also have Alex Highsmith. So they have the guys on the roster. They just sunk a bunch of money into Herbig, which would leave them able to trade TJ Watt if they so chose to. And I think the Lions would be a great destination. I think the Lions are in that position right now where they need to maybe act a little bit like the Rams. And they're, the F them picks, F these picks is the Rams kind of mantra. I think Detroit maybe needs to start, maybe not all the way in like LA has been over the last 10 years with their draft picks, but, expending some of that draft capital to extend your Jahmyr Gibbs window, your Amon-Ra St. Brown window, and your Jared Goff window, because Goff's getting older. Penei Sewell's getting older. I think you need to extend that window. And I think the way you do it is you start to bring in some veteran stars or veteran players to plug in around them and not let rookies develop. So that's the rumor today. I think as a pseudo Lions fan, I would be like super happy with that, trading a couple first round picks for it. I think, again, people always get stuck on these first round picks, but the hit rate on those first round picks, if we look back at this last draft, even that just happened, like you and we all talked about it. There was 15 players that we graded as first round picks or possible first round players. And that was like kind of industry wide. And so it's like, okay, so if you're the Lions, you're going to be picking 20 plus. So you're maybe not even getting a first round level player with that pick. So I'm in favor of that. Get the guy now. I would love that pick. What is your thought on that? Do you think it's something Pittsburgh would ever do? I know it's a new kind of coaching regime in Pittsburgh. Mike McCarthy, though, acts as though he is coaching in the 80s. So who knows if that would be something he would be interested in.
I doubt it. I don't. I mean, the Steelers do not have a new GM. They still got the same GM. So right. That doesn't sound like a Steelers move. Like, it's like the Steelers would just let Watt stay there, I feel like, until he ran out. Like, same thing like I just mentioned earlier about Cam Hayward. Like,
right.
I mean, not that Cam Hayward's play has really fallen off like much. Like, he keeps getting worse every year. I watch it 2 times a year at least. And he's just not as good as he was, but they keep bringing him back. And that doesn't sound like a Steelers move to me. I can't remember the last time the Steelers were like, yeah, take our good player. We want more draft picks. Also, if that happens, I feel like that's more of a 2027 move, not a 2026 move, because why bring back Aaron Rodgers then if you're like going to give away your best player on defense?
That's true. That's fair.
That makes just no sense to me. I could be dead nuts wrong, but it doesn't seem too logical to me. So while from a Lions perspective, I'm sure you're like licking your lips.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think there's much reality to that. And I mean, TJ Watt is, I believe, the same age as Myles. So like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And I doubt he has as much longevity as Myles does. Like, I guess that's probably an unfair statement, but
he's had some injury concerns. I mean, he's been injured the last couple of years, I would say. So I would say his runway is probably shorter even than Myles.
Yeah. So I don't know why a team would give up 2 ones for that. I couldn't see it. I don't see it happen. But the other thing with the Lions, I'm really now interested. The most interesting thing to me now, I don't know if you saw this video with the Panthers, like GM or War Room that just got released the other day.
I did, but remind me.
They were like freaking out. They tried to trade up with the Lions, who I think were 2 spots ahead of them.
Yep.
They tried to trade up because they thought the Lions were going to take Monroe Freeling. And then they ended up taking Blake Miller, obviously, as we all know now. And so they were like, what? Like, we didn't even have to trade up to get our guy because the next player ended up being Caleb Banks. And then they still ended up getting Monroe Freeling, who they were going to trade up for. So I just think that's interesting. And, like, unfortunately, as like a Browns fan, I got to watch over the last 7-8 years, gotten to watch Jedrick Wills, who we selected as a left tackle, just suck ass, while Tristan Wirfs down in Tampa Bay has been a freaking stalwart for them, and we chose Jedrick Wills over Tristan Wirfs in the first round. But that's probably one of the most interesting things for me to be watching moving forward. But anything else on the Lions? I do have some Cowboys stuff I'm curious about your take on.
Oh, let's hear some Cowboys stuff. Because I think the Cowboys segues really good into the Eagles takes.
That's true. So I started listening to this guy. I think he calls himself The Fish. He's a Cowboys podcaster. And he's got all kinds of spicy takes. I love this man. He's older. He does a show by himself. But if you're bored looking for Cowboys, other Cowboys outlets, like, he's great. He does like 10 minutes a day. But a couple things that he brought up. Number one was the Cowboys are like super big on Blue being the backup running back. And he says there's all these rumors of like James Conner coming to them, or like all these old running backs, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because like we all hear those names like Nick Chubb, like James Conner, like, oh yeah, they got to go get that guy, but like those dudes are well past their prime. They're not, like, their name doesn't hold the value anymore. So what do you think on the backup running back? I guess obviously the number one is locked and loaded, right? Assuming no injuries. But what do you think about the number two there for their running back?
So it's funny you say that, like the spicy names, because it's exactly what I saw when I, originally heard the news. Like, oh my gosh, Nick Chubb, like that would be awesome. And I was so pumped to like come and talk about this on a Browns Cowboys podcast. Like, hey, that would be sweet. Then I got to thinking about it, and it's like, you're right. Like, this is a guy who is from everything you hear, is a great teammate and a great guy to have around the organization. But it's just like, at this point, what is he really going to bring from like a production standpoint? And I think I like Blue, and I think a name to not forget is possibly Maffa, their third string running back. I think he's a big dude. He's out of Clemson. He's like 235 plus pounds. Good for probably 5 pretty tough carries a game, goal line type carries. I do think the Cowboys do need to find a way to get someone else carries this year other than Javonte Williams, because, he's had injuries, knee injuries in his career. He's, every year that you have a running back, every year they get older, they start to get to that level of decline. And we all saw it with Zeke Elliott, how fast that happened. And I don't necessarily, and this is coming from like just someone who's followed Zeke his whole career, I'm not sure Zeke was like the biggest person who taking care of himself. And I mean, he just doesn't look like the kind of person that takes care of. Yeah, I mean, right. And like when he talks, he's got this like, I'm wheezing, like I'm out of breath, like thing that he does. And it's like, I don't know. He just doesn't sound healthy. Like he takes care of himself. I don't know. That could be completely like out there in left field. So
coming from 2 out of shape dudes.
Correct. Yeah. Coming from 2 middle-aged dudes that are not doing a lot of high level stuff here. So I do tear up a Hampton Inn gym though, man. Woo.
Wow.
No, but
the water cooler maybe.
Yeah. But no, I think they need to find a way to get some other guys some carries. I think Jaden Blue's a good candidate for that. I think last year what happened was there's some maturity issues, some practicing issues. I really like Schottenheimer as a coach. He's a lot like his dad. You have to work to get on the field. Like you have to earn it in practice to get the reps in the game. And so it gives me comfort as a Cowboys fan knowing that the guys that are on the field at least earned it during the week, unlike in, under regimes past where it was just kind of like you got guys with legacy names playing on, time that they earned years ago. So if Blue earns the spot, I'm great with it. He is a kind of lightning rod back, fast. So I would hope that they can find a way to use him. And I think out of the backfield, catching the ball is also a great thing. So I would be great with that. But I stay away from the aging stars or the old aging assets for now, because you can always find one of those guys week 7. Like those guys are always hanging out there.
Okay, real quick dialogue, my guy. I gotta get him in here. He says Cavs in 9. I don't know if that's like 2029 or like they would have won in 9 games if they had a chance. But my man Dialogue is always coming in on every show with some hot takes. Dialogue, you have got to DM me, dude. Cavs won the Super Bowl and Browns just won the World Series and Guardians might win the NBA Finals. That's how Cleveland does it. Congratulations. Dialogue, are you I know you're an LA fan. Are you a Rams fan? You got to tell me. So one other thing I was curious about is the wide receivers for the Cowboys. So does Pickens, I feel like Pickens is going to be around for another year or two. Like I get that feeling. I could be dead nuts wrong. They could franchise tag him again right next year.
This Drake London deal is going to screw the Cowboys, though.
Oh, okay. So do you think that Pickens is still on the do you think Pickens is still on the roster next year? And what about the depth behind him? I was like, again, that my buddy the Fish was talking about some guy that the Cowboys are like really high on that nobody's talking about.
Yes. Ryan Flanoy.
Yes.
I like Flanoy.
Okay.
I do like him. He had a good year last year. I think he's a good number 3, but that's all he's ever going to be. So I think, and it's funny because they keep, as news keeps happening, the Cowboys keep signing like these undrafted free agent receivers, and everyone's like freaking out on Twitter about it, or X, whatever you call it. And it's like, no, this is not leading towards a George Pickens anything. I think the only thing Dallas has going for them with George Pickens and like the leverage is the fact that he is known as a bad locker room guy. And so I think that Jerry Jones can sell that enough to keep him around at least one more year. But I think this is drama that Jerry is very familiar with. As far as, dragging these out, I really don't think he's around long term. And if the Cowboys are out of it by mid-season, he might be a Brown. They might trade him. So but I think that I do think he plays for the Cowboys this year. I do think he'll wear a star on the helmet. For how long, I don't know. I think one year max.
Okay, good to know.
Don't put some respect on Flournoy.
Yeah. Oh, hey, listen, I'm excited. I don't watch much Cowboys, so now that we're doing this show, I've got to watch more Cowboys. So I got to have somebody to root for.
It's like my all-time favorite, Michael Gallup. Just follow the money.
Oh, God. Yeah, speaking of fantasy football, I cannot root for your running back because I cannot watch Matt win another championship for a 3rd year in a row.
Oh, I know.
With his like 6 starting running backs in a 12-team league. It's disgusting how things work out that way. All right. Well, speaking of wide receivers in the NFC East, let's talk about AJ Brown, who gets traded from Philly to New England for, I believe it was just a 1st rounder for 2028, right?
1st rounder in 28, and I think a 5th rounder in 27. So like a conditional 5th rounder in 27.
Okay.
A throw-in.
Okay. So since you're such a big Philly fan, I mean, why don't you tell the Philly fans why they made a mistake here?
So, I mean, this just goes back to the last podcast. I think that you're doing is I'll say this. Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback in the league playing the quarterback position. He's a top 10 athlete at the quarterback position, but I don't think he's your elite quarterback. So I think you need to have elite pieces around him to make him a good quarterback and a great quarterback. And I think what they effectively just did was they took away his best weapon. which is going to make them more reliant on a 29-year-old Saquon Barkley who has injuries. His usage rate, he's got 300 plus touches the last couple of years and maybe his whole career. So he's, again, we talked about Zeke. Like, is Barkley's run rate is it gonna get to him? Is it gonna catch up? He's not like Derrick Henry. I don't think he's not built like a human tank like Derrick Henry is. So it's like, is that gonna start catching up? And I truly don't believe Devontae Smith is a true number one receiver. I think he's a really good number two receiver. But I mean, there were points in last season where he was averaging there was a stretch of 4 or 5 games, I think, 5, 6 games, where he was like 3 catches, 30 yards, 3 catches, 15 yards. And it was like boom or bust for like playing fantasy because he might have a touchdown in there. But I think also you look at Devontae Smith's career. Devontae Smith has always played with really good receiving talent around him. I mean, going back to Alabama with Judy and Ruggs and Mechie, he had great receivers around him. So while he may have been the focal point of the defense couldn't focus all of their or most of their coverages towards him. So now you're looking at an Eagles team that has a quarterback who's good but not great, with a rookie wide receiver who's better in the slot, Mekhi Lemon, who's also has a soft tissue hamstring injury that he's dealing with. And we know those can linger a long time. And so, he's going to miss all of the summer camps. So already behind the 8 ball there, but he's an inside guy. So they have Wicks maybe to play the outside. I think they've taken a big step back. I don't think Devontae Smith is going to be a good enough number one to make that offense as elite as it needs to be. Philly, though, they're going to rely, I think, heavily on the run game and their defense. Is it does it hold up? I don't know. I truly think they took a step back with this trade, and this is what's going to lead to the demise. And I think you're going to have a division in that locker room because, there was a clear division between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. And, all the rumors that are flying, which some are probably funny and made up or, whatever the case, about different, wives and girlfriends that didn't like each other and, not inviting people to weddings and all that stuff. I mean, that stuff truly can divide a locker room. I mean, look at what's happening in New York right now with Jackson Dart and Abdul Carter. And that type of stuff can, divide a team. So I think this is ultimately what's could mar them this season. I'm willing to eat crow at the end of the year if it doesn't end up happening this way, but I still stand on my original hot take that has flamed the whole world here, that the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, they'll be looking for a new quarterback and or head coach coming in next season.
I did have one Eagles fan comment on the TikTok that I put up of you saying that, and he was like, You guys don't know what you're talking about. We didn't. I'm like, I watched games this past season where your entire home crowd booed this shit out of the team. And he's like, no, you don't understand. We were not booing the quarterback. We were not booing the players. We were not booing the head coach. We were only booing the offensive coordinator. I'm like, oh, well, I'm sorry. I didn't get that memo.
Hold a sign up the next time you boo and tell us who you're booing. I mean, Philadelphia threw snowballs at Santa Claus. So it's they boo everybody. And, it's a tough sports town. I mean, it's a great sports town, a very tough sports town. And it's how long are they going to ride with Jalen Hurts and Sirianni? Sirianni has been on the hot seat 3 times. He won the Super Bowl in a year that he was on the hot seat in mid-year. So it's it's only going to take one season. And look, and this is very reminiscent to the 2022 trade of A.J. Brown from Tennessee to Philly. I mean, very reminiscent. What did Tennessee? Tennessee took a massive step back. Is that what we have in place here? Because, Hurts kind of resembles a little bit of what Tannehill did. Mobile, bigger quarterback, relies on their athleticism, not the greatest throwing quarterback. I'm sure I'm going to get flamed on the internet for this take as well, but I just don't see it. I see them absolutely taking a step back in the NFC. And I still have the faith in the Cowboys, and I'm going to have faith in the Cowboys until they show me otherwise.
And I think the Giants are on the rise anyway. So
no, last place.
Okay. Well, you're wrong about that. So we'll circle back. Do you think Diana Rossini had her fingerprints on this trade?
Dude, absolutely. She had her fingerprints on a lot of things. But it's funny because I think a lot of these trades happen way sooner than they happen, which I find interesting because someone leaked on Twitter, 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks before the draft, that they did a Cowboys depth chart for defense, and they had D Winters in as a linebacker, and everyone's like, D Winters ? He plays for San Francisco, and I looked at it then, I thought it was a mistake, and now looking back, I'm like, oh my god, the conspiracy theory. This is all just happening months ago, and we're just now all finding out about it.
Well, dude, apparently I've gone deep down the Myles Garrett rabbit hole. That's probably the only reason why I'm so calm. Apparently, the Rams have been calling about Myles Garrett since 2022.
Really?
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah. So it's been a long time, and they've been persistent, apparently. And so, yeah. And apparently this trade was pretty much close to, if not done, in March. So, they didn't obviously make anything official until the league year started on June 1st at 4 p.m. But yeah, man, there's a lot of this stuff that happens. And the thing that I like, one of the things that I actually like about Andrew Berry, number one, the ball's on Andrew Berry to trade trade for Deshaun Watson and then trade away Myles Garrett. And that's crazy. But the thing I love about him is you don't ever find out about these trades. Nobody knew about the Jerry Jeudy trade. Nobody knew about the Amari Cooper trade. Nobody knew about the Deshaun Watson. Well, the Deshaun Watson was a free agent sweepstakes. But nobody knew about the Myles Garrett trade. Nobody knew about the Travis Hunter trade. He keeps these other teams accountable for keeping secrecy. And I think he basically said, I guess he says if you can't keep quiet, then we won't work together. So
with that in mind, with all the off season and this being known, would you do anything different this off season as the Browns GM of what they've already done, knowing that Myles Garrett was shipped out? Draft picks, would you have done anything different there?
I mean, I'd have to relook at who was available when we picked at, what was it, 39? When we Boston. But I really thought that they filled the biggest holes. And with Verse, again, I think we're going to pretty quickly find out that the guys on the other side of Verse are not good enough.
I would agree.
To fill that gap. So of course I would love to have an edge rusher out of this draft too. Now, but you really, really badly needed offensive line help, and you really badly needed wide receiver help. And our defense has been good. There is depth at the defense on the defense. I would have probably pretty much stuck with what they did. And again, even Emmanuel McNeil Warren, that was extremely great value, I think. So even at that pick, I guess for me, if blanking on his name, the edge rusher out of Mizzou.
Oh, is that your boy?
Zion Young. If he was available when Denzel, which I think he was actually, if he was available and I knew Myles was gone, I might have picked him instead. But again, I think they still did great things, and obviously you don't know for sure that it's done until it's done. So
let's put a bow on this. So let's put a bow on the Myles Garrett trade, and let's give them your final word and a grade. Sitting here on June 3rd, what is your trade grade? We'll revisit this obviously down the road when we have some evidence, but Final word, one sentence, and you're great.
Tell me though, like how am I grading this? Like from the Browns' perspective?
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously it's a super incomplete, right? Because it highly depends on what Andrew Berry does with those 3 draft picks.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
If it ends up in us getting Arch Manning, then like it doesn't matter, right? Like it was an A plus 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 plus. I will say, from my perspective, if I'm to use one word, it is fair. I think we got fair compensation for 31-year-old Myles Garrett. Fair and smart, if you want a sentence. It was a fair and smart trade. Is probably for the best for the franchise. And if I'm going to give it a grade, I'll say a solid B.
Okay.
Again, there's just too much uncertainty. If we pick, I mean, you mentioned it already. Like I know 2027 is a deep draft, but if we pick, I don't know, some offensive tackle and he ends up being a bust at 32, then like what you did, you know what I mean? Like it then like it drops every time you whiff on a pick, it drops.
Yeah.
So I mean that's my opinion. Are you much different?
No, I think you're right on fair compensation, because I think verse, if you look at, again, you Micah trade, Myles trade, I think the 2 first rounders for Dallas, I think verse would be a first round pick in just about any draft. And so I think you got a verse and a first. So I think the compensation's fair. I would give it a B plus actually, until you see again what's going on. I do love the fact that you are getting out of that $40 million a year contract as well. I think that's something that's understated, is like, what can the Browns do with that money spread out over time? I think that could be fun too, because Verse isn't going to demand that kind of a contract, I don't assume. So, they get him signed and they're going to still have, 20-25 million to play with from that. So I'm going to say B plus from the financial side.
Yep. And again, I mean, I don't think we mentioned it, but like, this is all because of the failed Deshaun Watson experiment. Like,
oh yeah, that's the snowball effect of all of this.
Yeah. So it's just another thing that Browns fans can be pissed at Deshaun Watson for. It's like, not that it's entirely Deshaun's fault, but like, it just, like you said, snowball effect. Do you want to know where Jose?
I do. You have one. I have one too. Give me yours. I'm pumped that you come with one.
So since you gave, like, I posted the Nowhere Jose on the Tony Gwynn last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever, and like the baseball fanatics came out in droves, man. There's so many comments I couldn't even keep up. So I'm pulling one of the stats that somebody baseball fanatic threw at me. So I'm going to ask you
before you.
What's that?
Did you verify that, this is...
I verified that these stats are correct. I didn't just go off of... I had a couple more that I haven't verified yet, so I can only select one.
Okay.
So, Tony Gwynn, your boy, had more 4-hit games than 2 strikeout games. No way or Jose. So Tony Gwynn had more 4-hit games than 2 strikeout games.
So I'm going to say Jose, just because Tony Gwynn's a freak, but that's a crazy statistic.
It is. That is even more. That's almost crazier to me than the latter, what we talked about last week. So he had 45 4-hit games, and only 33 2 strikeout games.
You know what we should do? We should track to see how many 4-hit games there are across baseball this season. I bet you there's not 45.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
That's insane. I tell you, there's websites completely dedicated to like Tony Gwynn statistics, and it is the greatest thing ever. That is a great stat.
it's a good one. That was a good one. So what's your nowhere, Jose?
All right, so I'm going north of the border because a sport that we don't talk about very much.
Okay.
Hey, ice hockey.
I watched a little bit of that last night.
Did you? Okay,
I don't know
so
why I'm talking like a mixed Irish, Scottish, like Canadian, but here we
yeah,
go.
I'm sure the Canadians are gonna be pissed about that. All our Canadian fans. But so this is kind of a statistic because the Stanley Cup playoffs are on right now, which are some of the best playoffs to watch. So if you are just a fan of sports, turn on Stanley Cup playoffs because you will always have a good time. So no way or Jose, Brian, a team from the United States has won the CFL's Grey Cup more recently than a team from Canada has won the Stanley Cup. No way or Jose. And for anyone out there, the CFL, Canadian Football League, Grey Cup is their Super Bowl.
Okay. So a United States team has won the CFL Cup more recently than a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup?
Correct. There's no way, Jose.
I feel like I have heard people talking about like it is crazy how long it's been since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. So I'm going to go Jose.
Jose, you are correct. So this is insane. So first of all, I think the Canadians are regretting their decision 100 years ago to let Americans play or American teams be a part of the NHL. But then they have to regret the fact that they allowed an American team to play in their Canadian Football League. So the Baltimore Stallions won the CFL's Grey Cup in 1995. The Montreal Canadiens, the Habs, are the last Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup in the year 1993. So it has been that long. And I want to say that the Maple Leafs haven't won it since like 67. So Canada on quite the drought. I suggest you guys do something about that with your national pastime. You know who's never, America has never won on a streak like that with the World Series. So just keep that in mind.
Which is wild, dude. So like my wife was actually born in Canada. Some of her family is still lives up there. So my nephew, he is like a mammoth human being. He would be like a large offensive lineman, but like he didn't get into football until he was an adult because it's not a thing up there. So like it's kind of just like
ice hockey player. It's like bear on ice.
I don't think he plays hockey. I'll have to find out for sure. But man, he, like I said, he would have been easily like a DeJuan Jones type lineman, but he just never played. And like now he's a big football fan. And oh, by the way, he's also mad because he has 4 Myles Garrett jerseys, by the way. And he's like, I'm like, welcome to being a Cleveland Browns fan, bud. Like,
you gotta buy that insurance on the jersey. You gotta like that jersey insurance where you can go trade him in like the Aaron Hernandez jerseys.
Dude, I stopped buying Browns jerseys after Johnny Manziel. I got excited about Johnny Manziel. I went out and bought a jersey right away. That didn't work out. I had a Joe Thomas jersey for a long time. That worked out obviously pretty damn well.
73 is a cool number to wear too. Like that's like an odd jersey to have.
Dude, it is. So I have that, and then I have a Baker, and then I have a Myles Garrett jersey. And the 2 number jerseys are like, I got to wear an XL. It just, to me, it's like it just doesn't look as clean. Like if you're not wearing pads.
I 100% agree. And this is like going to sound really weird. It's a whole lot of number. Like there's just like so much number on you, and it's just like I'm not wide enough for all of this. Just like wrap it around your body a little bit. It's like this is not a good look at all. You're right. I need pads and like an extra 100 pounds.
Yeah, talking about manly men that wear other men's names on their backs.
It is it kind of weird? I think we're here now. So like, as a grown man, should you wear the jersey of somebody who's younger than you? Like, do you find that weird? Like a 35-year-old man wearing the jersey of someone who's 22.
I don't find it weird, but I also people think it's just weird in general, just for guys to wear other guys' last names on their back. Like, I don't have any, like, personally, I understand the questioning of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
but if you're that insecure, like, that's a you problem, I think. Like,
Well, I think I get it from like autograph chasers at like minor league baseball games where they're like 40-year-old men that are pushing people out of the way to get autographs from like
oh,
19-year-old kids.
yeah.
Like to me, that's odd. Like the jersey thing is fine, like whatever. I try to trend towards like older players, but because they can't leave the organization because they're already out of the league. So I've learned that one. The most out of your bang for your buck on jerseys. But yeah, I think the autograph chasers are the weird ones, but
Oh,
interesting.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I have no problem. I love seeing my own name on the back of a jersey, but that's also my sports career ended in 7th grade. So big,
Glory days.
yeah, the glory days for sure. All right, Jay, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Nothing. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. We're excited, I think, for to talk again here in a couple of weeks. But yeah, thanks for sticking around with us.
Hell yeah. Please like, subscribe, do all the buttons, smash all the buttons for us. We love you all. We appreciate you all for jumping in. Dialogue, Neil, Chiles, thanks for the comments today. We love you all. We'll see you next time.